Greetings. I've been struggling with knowing how to respond to the riots and attempted coup last Wednesday. As your pastor, I feel there is a need to try and articulate some kind of faith response to this heartbreaking moment in the life of our country, yet I am struggling. Partly because I'm in no way neutral about any of this. I do not know if there are people within our congregation who believe the conspiracies and falsehoods that are at the heart of this act of violence, but I must condemn those lies in the starkest of terms. These conspiracy theories and falsehoods have been perpetrated by people who are willing to do anything to hold on to power. They have stoked fear and hatred. They have manipulated the deepest prejudices and bigotry in people in the hope of maintaining control of political power for their own gain. This has been the norm for many years and going far beyond just the current president. The rhetoric and violent talk finally came to a head on Wednesday, and 5 people are dead as a result. And our democracy is hanging by a thread. It is my prayer that we find the way and the will to hold all those responsible for fomenting this violence accountable, and not just the president. Yet, as I have been watching in horror the scenes of violence, I've been wondering to myself, what would it take for me to storm the Capitol building? I keep thinking about people like Dietrich Bonhoeffer, the Lutheran pastor in Nazi Germany who joined a plot to assassinate Adolf Hitler. He and his co-conspirators were ultimately found out, and he was hanged on July 20th, 1945. I have to admit to myself that there are circumstances that would prompt me into resistance that might put me on the other side of the law and on the other side of society and culture. There are things worth fighting for, worth standing against the powers and principalities of this world for, even worth dying for. But these lies that have prompted this act of treason are not among them. I suppose that the difference between what took place last week and a righteous cause is truth. A cause that is built on lies can never be righteous. In addition to that, the nationalistic and racist vision of America held by so many of those within this group is not a vision of America that I could ever support. And it is a cause that is far from righteous. I am rarely absolutist about things, but some things are right and some things are wrong. And the America that they imagine is just wrong. So what do I say as your pastor to try and make some sense of all of this? What words of comfort, hope, or peace can I bring? To be honest, I am at a bit of a loss. I am struggling along with all of you. What I will say is that I think our country can survive this. I believe ultimately that our better angels will prevail and that those who are motivated by hate or prejudice will be pushed to the fringe again. I believe our ideals and our way of being a country is resilient. I would also say that my faith is bigger than the success or the failure of the United States. Whatever we become as a nation, whatever direction we ultimately go, whatever vision of what America is that prevails, my allegiance is always first to the kingdom of God. I love my country, but there are competing views on what that country ought to look like. And the vision of America held by those who stormed the Capitol on Wednesday is not a picture of America that I can get behind. If that is what the United States ultimately becomes, it ceases to be the country I know and love. But as Paul says in his letter to the Philippians, we are citizens of heaven where Jesus Christ lives. Indeed, we are just ambassadors to this world, and our activity in it is guided by the life and teachings of Jesus Christ, who taught us to love God and love our neighbor as ourselves, to care for the sick, the outcast, the downtrodden, and the oppressed, who called us to be peacemakers, who spoke truth to power but resisted violence, who instead sought peace through justice, mercy, grace, and love. These are the ideals and virtues that motivate the faithful follower of Christ, whether they are shared by our fellow country persons or not. I guess that is ultimately what I need to share with you today as your pastor. I would only add this: pray for our country. Pray that the voice of truth will prevail. Pray that we aspire to our highest ideals and that we continue to hold true to them. Pray that violence will be stopped, and pray that rhetoric of hate and fear will be silenced, and rest in the assurance that the kingdom of God will prevail. Thank you, and God bless.